Do It. Me and Matt are back, and today we're talking about Evil Dead 2.
We are indeed.
I'm excited. Haven't watched Evil Dead 2 for quite some time, so it was an absolute pleasure to rewatch it. Any thoughts on Evil Dead 2? When did you first see it?
Ooh, well, it would have been on video, I imagine.
Yeah, same.
So it would have been when it came out on video, which probably bought 88, I suppose, on video.
Actually,
about the year after, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I might have come across it on TV, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. I've got a distinct... maybe. I'm not entirely sure.
The first movie, which was banned in this country when we were...
Was indeed.
Certainly when I was a kid, at a party from one of my uncles.
Yeah.
They watched it. They got an illegal copy and they watched it.
Yeah.
And us kids were supposed to stay upstairs and not watch it, but we all sneaked down and watched it, like from the stairway.
Uh-huh.
And the end shot of him being taken away by the grrr creature absolutely terrified me. that noise for ages. If anybody did that noise when I was a kid, I'd run away.
Amazing.
And then when you sort of got a little older, it's like, God, I want to see that movie again. And then of course the 2 came out when I was like, I think I was 12, 13 when the second one came out.
87.
Yeah, so I would have been about 13ish.
Right.
So yeah, I obviously didn't go to the cinema to see it, but I did see it on video when it came out.
So as soon as you could. Yes.
Yeah, we were. I was allowed to persuade people, my parents, to get horror movies for me. They didn't like it, but
yeah. My parents were pretty cool with seeing most things, to be honest. I rewatched yesterday. I rewatched Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Oh, you watched the first one as well?
Well, it's been even longer since I saw the first one.
That's true, because I watched Evil Dead 2. I watch it sort of periodically every couple of years,
annually or something. Yeah.
The first one not so much.
Yeah,
because I think that the first one's still a great movie.
It's
a lot more serious. It's certainly less for laughs.
There's some comedic elements to it for sure. But it's way more serious. Evil Dead 2 feels like a much more refined version of Evil Dead 1. Yeah. Like it's kind of the comedic the more comedic but more tightly produced version. I will say though, rewatching Evil Dead 1, it feels like the most Italian horror film to not be an Italian horror film. It
does, doesn't it? It's very Italian.
If it was badly dubbed, I would be like, this is a Fulci movie or something. Like, literally couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know whether it's just the way it's shot or what, but there's obviously a lot of Italian influences.
I think probably it is. It's definitely looks like one of those sort of Italian movies. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way.
And the third one sort of takes the humour even further.
The third one, I would say, it's not even a horror film at that point. It's a straight action comedy. It's glorious. Yeah. I love Evil Dead 3.
I do. That one you did see in the cinema.
Right. Because, that one I would say is definitely not a horror movie, but it is tremendous. But whenever anyone says Evil Dead, they immediately think Evil Dead 2 and 3.
I think so. Because I
don't know anyone that's like Evil Dead 1,
No, I think there's a whole sort of group of people that have actually never seen the first one anyway, I think.
Probably quite a few, I would imagine. Most people seem to start with 2. I started with 2. I can tell you that much. I started with 2, then 3, then got a copy of 1. I started with 2.
I think it became that sort of, it was one of those ones that didn't do terribly well when it was in the cinema, but when it came out on video, boy, did people go and watch that. Get that movie there.
Crazy. Yeah, like crazy. It was huge. I think certainly with my generation as well. It was such a big deal for us as teens. Like Evil Dead 2 was a revelation. Might have even been. Certainly, I would say along with Return of the Living Dead, probably the first comedy horrors I'd seen.
Yeah,
one of those two.
they're good. I think they make good companion pieces. Actually.
Oh, that would be a hell of a double bill, actually. Yeah, now that you
very
mention it.
different movies, but they both have that same sort of like tongue in cheek. Way of doing sort of zombies or deadites if you prefer.
With horror, and they're very much the same spirit. I think, even if the direction's very different and the feel's very different, the spirit is very much the same between those two movies. But I think it was between those two. They were like my first introduction to horror comedy.
And a great introduction. So I mean, that's
it was all downhill from there, pretty much. To be honest.
Yeah.
Those are probably two of my... Well, they probably are. I think Evil Dead 2 and Return of the Living Dead are probably my two favourite horror comedies, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that the thing is, though, I think it's very hard to do horror comedy right.
Yes, because I think... I've always said, things like Shaun of the Dead is a tremendous horror comedy, but it's very light on horror for me. Like, extremely light on horror. Whereas I think Return of the Living Dead and Evil Dead 2 have got horror elements as well. There are some moments in Evil Dead 2 that are horrific, There are moments in Return of the Living Dead that are horrific. Whereas I didn't think... I never got really much horror from Shaun of the Dead. I just had a wonderful time with Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
But anyway, should we dive into the story?
Yeah, let's go.
And kind of talk our way through this movie, as we tend to do with these episodes. So Ash and his girlfriend Linda are going on a vacation. Ash is taking his girlfriend on a romantic weekend away to an abandoned cabin.
Always made me laugh. It's like they're going for a romantic weekend in the most hideous little shack you've ever seen. It's like there's nothing romantic about that shack.
Nope. No, it's absolutely horrific. It looks like the kind of place where murders would happen.
Exactly.
One thing I love about this shot, I hadn't really thought about this until I rewatched it yesterday night, is just how shining like that opening sequence is with the car.
Yeah.
Hang on, or am I thinking of the first movie? No, it is the second movie. It is the second one. It's a very shining like shot of the car going through the tunnel and then coming out and driving through the woods there. Tremendous opening shot. I love the insinuation that at some point Ash has been to this cabin of horrors, and decided to come back for some ungodly reason.
Take my girlfriend.
Yeah. Like. I mean, he's very vague on like how he knows it's abandoned, how he has the right to be there, like anything. He's just... I mean, I guess Linda does insinuate that they are basically not supposed to be there and are actually breaking in. So it's not like it's his friend or someone like that. But he knows it's abandoned.
Is it a friend of the family's?
I think it's a friend of one of the girls, I think.
Because I suppose we should point out that the Evil Dead 2 is the beginning up to where Ash gets out of the water. That's kind of the first movie, isn't it? In this one.
They kind of
redid it because they didn't have the rights to the first movie to show anything from the first movie.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a moment because this is weird for me. Oh, actually, sorry, just to very briefly go back, I love the opening animation with the narration talking about the book.
Well, one of the things that always slightly disappointed me about the opening narration is you get all those wonderful creatures like flying. I know,
they're amazing.
You don't ever see them again. You think, I'd love to see more of the flying skull and the weird sort of stuff coming at you.
It sets the tone perfectly immediately. You're like, this is schlocky, campy horror comedy. Right off the bat, it's tremendous. So they head to this creepy cabin, and they're in the cabin. And Ash, this is never brought up ever again. Ash is one hell of a piano player. She just like breaks into this piano thing, and I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, they never mention that ever again. But anyway, and Linda's dancing and all that, and then Ash suggests that they have some champagne. So he heads off, and weirdly, it's like he knew where the champagne was, and I'm assuming he put it there and just hadn't noticed the tape. It's
he came
weird.
Here earlier and set it up.
I guess. it's very strange. There's a lot of unknowns with what Ash has been doing up to this point in the movie.
Yeah.
Because there is always that insinuation that the first movie happened and then Ash was stupid enough to go back again. Which kind of doesn't work because the bridge gets destroyed in the first movie, so it can't really be the same movie.
No.
If you know what I mean, it couldn't be a sequel, like a true sequel. But I do like...
Somebody rebuilt it and they trashed it again.
Yeah, trashed it again. Or the Woods put it back and trashed it again. Who knows?
That's true, yeah.
But I do like the idea that Ash was just dumb enough to go back after everything that happened. Just go back again. So he finds the champagne, and next to the champagne there is a tape recorder, and he plays the tape, and... We hear the voice of Raymond Noby, the archaeologist who found the Book of the Dead. Now, this for me, as a kid watching Evil Dead 2, I thought I was seeing flashbacks to Evil Dead 1. The shots they show with the archaeologists going and collecting the book, because they filmed it, like it's like a filmed flashback. You see them driving up, you see them getting the book, and I was like, oh, that's the first movie. I need to see Evil Dead 1 where they got the book. I thought the first movie was the excavation and finding of the book.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. That would make a lot of sense if you've never seen the first one.
Never seen the first one. Never had any sort of idea about the series. This is pre going on Wikipedia and finding everything I ever want to know about anything. This is, it in some ways the internet has taken the fun out of a lot of this stuff. Because nowadays, if kids are like, oh, I like this movie, I'm just gonna go look up everything about it and know everything. Back in the day, you kind of had to do your own painstaking research, ask your friends, ask shops.
It was all word of mouth, it was all like you had to find that one nerdy friend that knew all the horror, the horror stuff.
Everyone's got one of those friends for different things, but there was always the horror friend that knew everything. So he starts playing the tape, and we get the backstory that Raymond's gone with his wife, and they've excavated some ruins and discovered the Necronomicon. He then proceeds to recite an incantation on tape. And as soon as he does, evil is released again. I guess, the evil was already out, presumably, because he'd read the incantation the first time. But I guess maybe it draws attention to the house again. And it immediately... Sorry?
It pings its location.
It pings its location. And it unleashes a Kandarian demon, I think he calls it. And it kills Linda.
Yeah, it takes her off.
Poor Linda. And then shortly after turns her into a deadite, which is not quite a kind of, I don't know, a conscious zombie, an evil zombie, a demon.
I'm guessing, I'm guessing the sort of basically the
demonically possessed.
It's it's a demon possessed like corpse basically, or in some cases human.
Yes,
but mostly by the time that it takes over, that the person's dead.
Yeah, and then we get the wonderful scene in which he's fighting Linda. We get immediately now we're seeing the slapstick in this movie, which Sam Raimi is a big fan of. I'm a huge fan of slapstick, and I love.
He's a massive Three Stooges fan, which is
it shows.
So,
it really shows.
It really does show.
And my God, Bruce Campbell takes a pounding in this movie.
He does.
They throw everything at him. He gets hit by trees, by God knows what in this movie, dragged through. It's just unbelievable. I imagine it was quite punishing for him to shoot this movie.
Yeah.
So he is. He fights Linda, and then.
And I've always thought that is the sharpest shovel I have ever seen.
The shovel takes her head off immediately. And it just rolls along the floor. A wonderful sound effect. The sound in this movie is incredible, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant sound effects.
All of the sound effects in this film are just incredible. He takes her head clean off with this shovel, like immediate. and you get that wonderful shot of the head rolling towards camera.
Yeah.
Some really, like, some of these shots must have taken ages to get right, just to line up perfectly. But he did it, and it is absolutely wonderful.
You forget how creative they are with the shots. Some of the absolutely beautifully set up shots for what's supposed to be like a stupid horror movie. They're brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, the one of my favourite shots in the first one, I think, is the one where the thing rises out of the swamp, and you get all that steam and stuff. It's like he knew at a very sort of an early time how to construct a brilliant scene.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I think this movie has just absolutely not aged at all. Everything works in its favour. Or even the slightly ropey by today's standards stop motion, it all just adds. It adds to the movie. It adds to everything. It's perfect. Then morning comes, doesn't it? We get morning, and an evil invisible force chases Ash and then ends up throwing him through the woods.
I love that scene of him just like spinning around.
Spinning around, getting hit by everything is amazing. Again, poor Bruce Campbell must be so punished making this movie. He then becomes possessed by the demon itself. Before day breaks and seemingly daylight kind of scares it away or frees him from the possession. And
that makeup is still good.
It's great, isn't it? With the eyes, the white eyes, and
the guys who did that, I think, went on to do Walking Dead. So
did they?
Yeah, I think so.
I've started watching Walking Dead lately. Never watched it before. No, I never watched it. Yeah, well, I was not. I was so zombied out when The Walking Dead started that I had no interest. And then it's it's like 8-9 seasons in. I'm like, I've no idea. I'm not gonna ever start this. But my fiance absolutely adores the series. She's not such a big fan now because it's kind of lost its way. But she's for her, that series is like her favorite series of all time. Up to a point where it's kind of fallen off for her. So she was like, we should rewatch it all because she really wants to rewatch it all. I was like, okay, why not? And I must say, the first couple of seasons really strong so far.
The first season was fantastic.
It's great.
When they get to the farm, it tails off a bit.
We've just got to the farm.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we've just got there.
When they get to the farm, that season is terrible.
Oh dear. Okay.
Well,
yeah, because it's been great so far.
I'm sorry, I don't want to put you off.
No, it's all right. I have heard that season 2 is very slow, but then it picks up again after that. So
it gets a lot better, and then it kind of lost me a bit. And I don't know what season I dropped out at. It was after the prison,
right,
and the town. So I dropped. I did stay with it for a long time,
and then just eventually just had enough.
I even watched the first season of the spin-off.
Oh yeah,
Fear the Walking Dead, and they're still making spin-offs for it, aren't they? Have we got 2 more coming or something?
There's a new one that premiered last week, I think, on Amazon.
It's like I
watched an episode of it and I thought it was absolutely awful. So there we go. But I can see that. I can see that because I was surprised watching The Walking Dead how first of all how many practical effects there are, and secondly how good it all looks.
Yeah, they're really good. There's some of the like one of the ones I remember was when I think he goes to in the first season he goes back to his house.
Yeah.
And there's like a decapitated woman on the floor, is it? And she's
it's
just
like a half body.
Yeah, she's just trying to sort of claw her way to him.
It's amazing.
I thought that is really well done.
Well, that really won me over, to be honest. When I saw that, I was like, "Wow, they're doing this practically. Like it looks amazing." So I can see that if that was the same makeup artist and the same team that ended up doing that, I can totally see that because I agree. Ash's makeup is tremendous, and they accentuate his facial features in a really great way. It just makes him really it looks like an exaggerated caricature, evil version of himself.
The thing about Bruce Campbell is he's already almost a parody of a human face.
He is.
Anyway,
that chin is
he's got this big
ludicrous.
long chin and sort of quite a heavy brow anyway. So he's sort of like already looks quite.
And thank goodness he had a better haircut in this movie because his haircut in Evil Dead 1 is the goofiest thing. It is just the goofiest haircut ever. So he looks a lot better in this one.
He does.
But yes, in any case,
contacts, I should say, those white contacts
that must have been.
The Durs, they couldn't see shit.
I'm not surprised.
Completely blind with those contacts in, so they had to be. They basically learned how to do everything from just repeating it,
right?
Because they just kept doing the scenes, or they had to be sort of like moved around because they couldn't see at all.
Yeah, I've always heard plain white and all black are apparently the worst contact lenses to have. Apparently very painful and horrendous. But yeah, it's amazing the things that this cast must have gone through to make this movie. Is incredible. So Ash returns to normal, having daylight breaks, and then he tries to escape, but he finds that the bridge has been destroyed. And when I say destroyed, it's kind of turned into a hand. It's bent up like a hand.
Bent towards him, which is brilliant.
And you get that wonderful shot of him shouting in front of the bridge. I love that. I love the design of almost everything in this movie, and I love that bridge. It feels like Evil Dead 2 feels like it feels like a 50s, 60s horror comic.
Yeah, it does. It's got
it's like Creepshow, almost. The things that Creepshow did is almost what Evil Dead was doing, I think.
Yeah, EC Comics, that sort of real sort of Creepshowy type stuff. Yeah, I like that. It does have that feel to it.
The pre-rating comic stuff, horror stuff. It feels like that, and it's some wonderful visuals like that with Ash in front of the bridge, and the way the bridge is like a hand just coming up and just stopping him. It looks amazing. So obviously,
and then the creature then turns up again, and he does that amazing driving backwards and then flips the car around and sort of drives it forward. It's like, hey, Ash can drive, actually.
Yeah, he can drive. That is really, really cool. So yeah, it chases him back to the cabin.
We should also say the car as well. That's that's a staple of Rebby movies. I think that car is.
It's in every movie. I think
every one of his movies.
Yeah, even the Spider-Man movies.
Nearly every one of his movies. Yeah, because it's the car that Uncle Ben drives in Spider-Man, isn't it?
It is, and then it just turns up in other Spider-Man movies as well. It was in Drag Me to Hell. It's in all of his films. As far as I know, whenever I watch a Raimi movie, I'm like, oh, there it is. It's always going to be there. So the spirit of the demon it chases him back to the cabin.
Crashes the car, goes through the windscreen.
Yeah.
Gets into the cabin.
Gets into the cabin.
That scene of him going through the partitions in the walls and stuff, and then he hides.
And you see there's the Freddy Krueger glove.
No, that's not till the tool shed.
Is that later? Is that in the tool shed? You're right, that's in the tool shed. You see you do see the top of the set here though. You can see the parting where the wall ends and the set is just but that's part of the fun. So yes, he is then attacked again by Linda. Her head specifically starts biting his hand.
No, you get the dance bit first, where he can hear it, the music playing, and he looks through the window, and we see the.
Oh, that's right. You get the sad music. Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a brilliant tune. It's
a
lovely
isn't
tune.
it? It's actually a really soulful, kind of powerful melody.
Yeah.
And
you get the stop motion Linda dancing, and I love the her head staying still and the body just constantly spinning. That is awesome.
It's great.
I mean, it's stop motion, but I think it really works well. I think it still holds up pretty good.
Oh, I think it looks tremendous. And even now, even if it didn't, it just adds to the comedy.
Yeah.
So it works. It still works. But I think the stop motion and the design of her dead self is amazing.
Because her body decomposed really quickly.
Really quickly. It just rotted immediately. It's great.
Like skeletal bits and all sorts of holes everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course she sort of does this leap and disappears.
Yes.
And he's sort of still he's looking for her, and then her face appears at you get that jump scare of her face appearing at the hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
and then the head falls on him, and that's when
Linda bites his hand, and he's running around smashing her head into everything he can to try and get it off of his hand.
And then that's where you get the tool shed.
The tool shed line. There are some lines in this goddamn movie, I tell you. Gets into the tool shed with her head, and puts her head in the vice, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he's looking around for something to deal with her. I love how cocky he immediately gets. As soon as she's in the vice, he's like, right, I'll deal with you right now. Looking around, he pulls back a thing, and there's like a missing, like a dead person's outline of where the chalk outline of where the chainsaw should be. Which I absolutely love. And then you've got the wonderful shot. It's one of my favourite shots in this movie. Where the headless body of Linda comes in with the chainsaw, and he pushes the chainsaw up and starts chainsawing her own neck, while her head is
still trying to hit him while this chainsaw's going through her neck. It's fucking brilliant.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's both sort of really horrible and absolutely hilarious at the same time. It does a brilliant job of doing that.
It's absolutely incredible. So he does eventually get the upper hand and ends up killing her again.
Well, I love the sort of her trying to sort of reason with him, and she sort of changes back.
Her face goes back to normal, even though her head's in a vice. It's like there's no way you're going to win this argument, love. Like it's just you've lost.
Especially after she said, even now she burns in hell, and she comes back like, yeah, no, that's fine.
That's fine. I mean, it was all done to obviously to torment Ash. It's not. Yeah, it's not a genuine let me go thing. It's it's all done in torment of Ash. Poor Ash. And so he ends up killing her, and we get that wonderful shot of is that the shot with the light bulb?
Yeah,
it's the light bulb shot, isn't it? Where the blood goes all over the light bulb, which is a wonderful shot.
They did try and because there are a number of scenes where the blood's different colours. You get green blood. And
I think they did that on purpose, apparently.
Yeah, they did. They were trying not to get an X rating.
Yeah,
because that's like the death knell for any American movie.
Mm.
So they tried to they sort of in the end I think it was fine. They just had to cut some of the gore out. I think.
Yeah, I think the comedy aspect kind of makes a lot of this a lot more palatable to most people anyway.
Yeah.
To be honest, because it is so ridiculous, and it's so much blood that it's just silly.
It's like it's like a Shogun Assassin, isn't it? Or one of those those big Chambara samurai movies where somebody gets their like arm cut off and it just sprays blood for about 5 minutes.
It does kind brilliant. Of feel very Baby Cart, actually, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Anyway. I was trying to think of is it Lady Snowblood? That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, very Lady Snowblood.
Lady Snowblood.
Gushing blood everywhere.
Gushing blood, yeah. Tremendous stuff though. So yeah, he's killed Linda again. But it's not over for poor Ash. Because later, or is it later? It's not much later. It's almost immediately. This movie moves at one hell of a pace as well. It does not let up.
I think is this where we get introduced to the to Annie?
I thought he cut his hand off first.
And he cut his hand off first, does he? Right, okay.
I think so.
So we go back into. So he's there in the house. And I can't remember whether all the stuff. Yeah, the other stuff happens. Yeah, he cuts his hand attacks him, doesn't it?
Because they come in to see the aftermath of the hand getting cut off. Because they see all the blood and everything else. So yes, Ash's right hand becomes possessed, and that's a wonderful effect as well with the black veins and all kind of like a cracking effect. His nails instantly grow on that hand, and tries to kill him.
This completely shows his comedy chops. The whole throwing himself around and smashing plates over himself, like full-on flips. It's absolutely brilliant. I love this scene.
It's amazing. I'm trying to think if this is the shot where he he thinks he's strangling and wakes up strangling himself, and then the hand becomes possessed, or whether that's a bit later. I think it is. I think he's. I think he's like strangling himself, and then the hand becomes possessed and attacks him. So he ends up.
So that's when he's gonna go. He's going. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. And he goes to the mirror.
Yes.
And he's saying, and the mirror Ash comes at him and grabs him around the throat. And
we
says,
just cut our girlfriend up with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine to you? Oh, it's amazing. That line is so good. There's a line later on as well, which I absolutely love. The way that he delivers the "I'm all right" stuff later on is amazing. It's like you've never acted more psychopathic in this movie than at this moment, where you're trying to say you're all right. Yeah. So Ash fights with his hand before severing it with the chainsaw. Mm-hmm. The hand then runs away, and Ash is trying to shoot it with a shotgun while the hand mocks him, basically. Which I absolutely love. I think it's absolutely hilarious.
It's like Thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's very much like Thing.
Yeah, I love that when it sets off the rat trap and he's like, ha! And it sort of like gives him the finger. And he's like,
yeah. Oh, it's so good. So then... Sorry?
That's when he starts shooting the wall, wasn't it? Try and get him.
Yes.
And you get that brilliant scene of the blood just completely flooding the cabin. And then all getting sucked out again. Leaving him covered in blood, but everything else is kind of reasonably clear. Again, a tremendous effect and just hilarious. I feel like I'm not doing this any justice, but honestly, when you watch this movie, it's hilarious. It may not sound it from our description, but believe me, it really is. So meanwhile, Raymond's daughter, Annie, and her research partner, who I forget the bloody name of. Is it Ed? It's...
Ed?
Ed, yeah. Ed,
he doesn't last long, which is why I always forget his name, because he's barely in it. So they're returning from the dig with the missing pages. So they've got more pages of the Necronomicon in tow, and they find the bridge destroyed, and two yokels.
Jake and Bobby Joe.
Jake and Bobby Joe, who Jake's immediately a bit of a dick. He's just like, you're not going there. It's like, why don't you just say like, oh, you can't, the bridge is out. He's just a dick. Immediately, he's just a dickhead. So they...
he realises that he can make a bit of money, doesn't he? And he
thinks he can. He thinks he's getting the upper hand.
I know there's a hidden way up to there through the pass. Yeah, that's that. Oh, we could go up that way.
And he will show them the way for a fee.
Yeah.
Which they agree to, but of course Jake is unaware of how much stuff they actually have to carry.
I just get the bags, and he looks around and says, "Sure, I'll carry your bags." And he looks around.
It's like a huge amount of bags that they've got to carry. Basically all of their research dig equipment. He ends up carrying through the woods to the cabin. So the four of them.
Bobby Joe was originally he wanted Holly Hunter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she was his. Holly Hunter was one of his roommates.
Oh.
I think when they were at college, and he basically based Bobby Joe on her, but the studio didn't want to go with Holly Hunter, so they said they wanted somebody sexier. It's like, what, then Holly Hunter? Really?
Okay,
fine.
Fair enough, guys. So they turn up at the cabin, and they. Well,
no. Then you go back to Ash, and you get the one of my favourite scenes.
The dance scene with the moose, the laughing scenes.
And the moose starts moving and starts laughing, and then all of the furniture
candlesticks and everything, and then Ash starts laughing for no apparent reason. Like he just suddenly finds it hilarious.
And I love the little sort
dance.
Of up and down thing.
Yeah. so good.
You get that brilliant flip of him. He's laughing, but then he just sort of flips. He starts screaming, and you just realise how much he's just slowly going completely insane.
He's going, and then absolutely mad.
You get the knock on the door, and he shoots
through the door immediately. Yeah,
and that's when he goes to the door, and there's nobody there at first, and then Jake jumps in and grabs him, and you find out that he's hit Bobby Joe in the arm.
Who, by the way, Bobby Joe has the worst time in this movie, I think.
She really does. I feel really
she is just like beat up. Well, apart from Ash, I guess she's like, beat up.
Not only has she got a terrible boyfriend.
Yeah, he is awful.
She just gets all the shit.
She does get all the shit immediately. So he shoots through the door, accidentally hitting Bobby Joe. Jake then punches Ash, and they assume that Ash has murdered her parents, Annie's parents.
Yeah. They see blood, and they see
blood, the severed hand. No, they don't see the severed hand, just the blood.
No, I think it's just the blood, isn't it?
Yeah, and then Jake throws
the chainsaw as well, isn't it?
And the chainsaw, yeah. So they throw Ash into the cellar.
Yep.
And lock him down there.
Lock him in there.
And we then get the four of them listening to the recording that her father made.
Yep.
Detailing. And again, it's just that wonderful writing and timing, and comedy timing. As Ash is listening from the basement, we hear...
he's looking out. The guy says, Henrietta became possessed, and... God forgive me, I killed her and buried her in the fruit cellar.
Yeah.
And then you get that brilliant shot of the head
immediately
coming up.
Yeah, it's like it was waiting to be announced.
Yeah, just waiting for its cue. It comes up, it's got like maggots crawling out of its head and stuff. It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
And the scream that Ash gives out is so brilliant and girly.
It's incredible. So Ash is screaming to be let out, and Jake's saying, "No, it's a trick. It's a trick. I know it's a trick." But they end up letting him out.
Yeah, the last moment, Jake's hands come down and clamp his head and pull him up.
Pull him up by the head. Yeah.
Henrietta's changed head, it comes up and starts trying to get them.
Yeah.
And they slam the door. The cellar door on her head, and it's caught. The head's caught between the door and the floor, and he jumps on it, and the eyeball comes flying out, goes across the room, and lands straight into Bobby Joe's mouth.
And it would be Bobby Joe again.
Yeah,
Bobby Joe. Until she dies, she just has the worst time.
Yeah.
So yes, Henrietta. Then doesn't she possess Ed? She possesses Ed, right?
Yeah.
And then Ed gets killed by Ash with the axe. Is this the shot where this is the shot where he gets thrown into the light bulb, isn't it? He gets thrown up into the light bulb, which is a wonderful shot.
Yeah, it's a great shot. And I love the it immediately attacks Bobby Joe and starts choking
straight away Bobby Joe.
Her hair. And I love that face, it's so brilliant. And I love the way it changes, like the face when it's got the hair in its mouth and it's choking and it's trying to spit the hair.
Yeah, it's so good. So good.
His face is fantastic. I love the makeup on that guy's is brilliant.
On Ed's face, it looks incredible, doesn't it? It really does. So Ash manages to dismember him with an axe, and Bobby Joe then tries to escape. She runs into the woods and is immediately attacked by the trees.
No. That's later. We haven't had the scene where the father turns up.
The father turns up?
Yeah, we haven't. She doesn't run out until after that with when the hand grabs her.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, no, you are right. Yes.
Yeah, so we get
you're right.
Get they're there, and we get the noises, the booming of the in different sections, and it's like they're watching a tennis match.
Yeah, they're all looking around in all different directions.
Noises, booms coming from like objects, and the clock goes mental and stuff. And then in this sort of the bedroom, there's this big explosion, and Ash says it's like something coming into
our world or our dimension or something, isn't it? He suddenly sounded quite intelligent when he says it as well. It's like
all of a sudden he sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, like he knows what's going on now.
And they go into the room, and Annie's father is there, and he says that they need to use the pages, the missing pages, to that has an incantation that will basically get rid of the demon, and they'll save his soul and their own lives.
Yes, and the incantation comes in 2 parts. So the first part is to let the evil in. And
it's to make it flesh.
Make it flesh, and then send it away.
Open a portal to send it back.
Yeah.
And that's when you they're in there, and Bobby Joe says, "You're squeezing my hand.
You're squeezing my hand too tight." What does he say? I can't remember what Jake says. He
says, "But baby, I ain't holding your hand." And she pulls her hand up, and there's Ash's hand.
It's Ash's hand. Yeah.
And she screams, and that's when she runs out.
And then she runs out, and is attacked by the demon trees.
Which is way more brutal in the first one.
It's not fun at all in the first one. It's just horrific.
But even with her, I love the
face.
You get there's the face, but I love when the vines are dragging her along, and you get the thing of her hitting those puddles.
It sounds like an explosion and a bomb goes off every time she hits them.
Great. Boom, boom, as she goes through these puddles.
And I like her face getting pulled as well by the
vines going sort of going into her face. It's really well done.
It's amazingly well done. So she's dragged off to her death, presumably. We never see her again, so we'll assume she's probably dead. I mean, she must hit that tree at a pretty quick speed.
She's probably ripped apart by that tree. To be honest, I don't think she survived that in any shape or form. And so we then get to
it's Annie trying to translate the pages when Jake decides to turn on them.
Well, Jake goes out. He's outside, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So does he get rid of the pages before they go outside, or is he go outside first, then they get rid of the pages?
I think he turns on them with the shotgun, doesn't he? Inside.
That's right. And
then he throws the pages into the cellar.
Yes.
And then he forces them to go outside to look for her.
Outside to look for Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
And then while they're he hits Ash, doesn't he?
Yes.
Ash is trying to get them to go back inside, and he hits Ash, and Ash goes down.
But then he comes up very quickly.
He's screaming out for Bobby Joe, and you then get the creature again in the woods to go. The creature, and it basically repossesses Ash, and Ash gets up.
And I love the speed that he comes up. He just like bang. He's like, oh, there he is. So Ash is once again possessed, and I think he just hits Jake, doesn't he, and knocks him out, basically.
Yes, knocks him out, and then he chases Annie into the
door.
Into the door.
And Annie's holding back the door while Ash is trying to break through. Her scream goes right through me.
Oh man, I think that's how she got the job, because I think originally
it's intentional, 100%.
They wanted her for Bobby Joe apparently, and then she wanted to play Annie, and they basically said, "Well, can you scream?"
She can definitely fucking scream.
And they went, "Okay, you've got the job of Annie."
Yeah. So that scream, by the way, I think is in Carmageddon.
Is it really?
Yeah, there's a sample. It's a very specific sound, and every time I watch Evil Dead 2, I'm like, oh, that's in Carmageddon. Either Carmageddon 1 or Carmageddon 2. I think the first one.
It's been a long time since I played those games.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I always remember that scream, and it's like, it's that scream. They sampled that in Carmageddon.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So she's holding back the door, and then Ash seems to disappear, doesn't he, for a moment? Yes. So sorry. Yes. So
she sort of steps back, and she turns around, and he's there.
He's there, and this is when we get the wonderful "I'm all right" speech.
Yeah. So he basically throws her over the across the room, and then as he's coming towards her, he spots the necklace, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That he gave to his girlfriend earlier on, which is I love the way that the actual necklace is in the shape of a skull when he looks down.
Yes.
And it's a really odd thing to give to your girlfriend as well. It's like a little magnifying glass. You think, okay.
Oh, actually, we forgot. We forgot. Annie stabs Jake, thinking that he's Ash. Doesn't she?
Is that before? Oh, that's right. That's yes.
Because she thinks he's Ash. She thinks he's possessed Ash.
That's right. He's banging on the door, isn't it? And she opens the door, and she's got the spine dagger, which is awesome.
Yeah, oh god, it's such a great design. I love it in the first one when the
first movie looks really good because it's got a normal blade, but it's got the sort of skull head, hasn't it?
And blood comes out of the skull when they stab someone in the first one as well, which is a really cool effect. Love that. Oh, the designs in this, the book and the knife are just awesome.
Yeah, they're great, and the designs on the pages are fantastic as well. They're really
I don't know who did those. I wonder if Raimi did them himself, but they look really cool. Those designs.
Yeah, they are awesome. Yeah, that's right. So that's when we get her completely screaming and screaming at him to shut up because he's moaning. She's trying to get him in she's trying to drag his body in so she can shut the door. And she's shutting the door on his legs, the poor bastard.
I think on all parts of his body. She starts with the torso and just works her way down, dragging him in.
And that's right. She leaves him by the unfortunately
by the cellar door.
By the cellar door, and Henrietta comes up and grabs him and pulls him in.
Yeah,
and you've got her trying to pull him by his legs.
Yeah,
and meanwhile there's just 3 tons of blood comes gushing out of the top. It's like his body does not hold that much blood.
No, it's ridiculous. So of course Ash turns back up, now not possessed.
Yes.
And we get the wonderful "I'm all right" speech.
I'm all right, yeah. And she still attacks him with the axe.
Which, fair play at that point, I think.
Absolutely,
to be fair. That's right, because he turns back to normal when he sees the necklace, doesn't he? He sees Linda's necklace, and it turns him good again. He finds his humanity again. And then eventually he manages to convince Annie that, he is he's here. Fine. But the thing that amazes me is, obviously it's a comedy. It's not meant to be taken seriously. But there is that moment where I'm like, okay, you're not possessed now. I'll give you that. But I'm not going to arm you. I'm not going to add a chainsaw to your arm now. That seems like a terrible idea on my part. But in any case, Annie and Ash head out to the shed, and Ash tools up.
They realise they've got to go back down into the cellar to get the pages. So Ash goes to get tooled up. Yeah. So it's still one of my. It's so good the
sound effects, the visuals,
style. Putting together the equipment is brilliant.
It's so
I love it.
It is absolutely tremendous. In this one and the third one as well. I love it when he's making his hand in the third one as well.
Overdone, brilliant.
It's great. So he modifies the chainsaw to fit onto his hand, and he's got
a rig so that he's got a rig so that he can pull it in one-handed. He shortens the shotgun so that it's
with the chainsaw, so he attaches the chainsaw to his arm and then saws off his chainsaw. Then saws off the shotgun with the chainsaw attached to his hand.
Yeah,
great shot. It's an amazing shot.
And then you get the immortal line, groovy.
Yes, and the spinning of the sawn off, which I love. And he does it every time he does like a big kill. It's the spinning of the shotgun. It's that's so cool.
Yeah, so
cool.
The old boomstick.
The boomstick, as it will be known in Evil Dead Part 3.
Yeah.
So, they head to the cellar with the chainsaw hand and the shotgun.
Yeah,
and
the thing is, they don't bother with the lock or anything. He just literally cuts the door open.
It did seem like, well, what if you needed to close that afterwards?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, well, if you got down and got back up, you probably would have wanted to keep that door, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, cut the chains if you don't have the key, but at least keep the door, because you could have put something on top of the door, and but it's Ash. It's very Ash. I'm just surprised that Annie allowed it.
Yeah.
So they head down and they retrieve the missing pages of the Necronomicon that were thrown down into the cellar by Jake. And then
sign of Henrietta. Oh, we do get Jake's body falls on him.
Yes, Jake's body falls on him.
Completely skeletal body drops on him.
People rot away so quickly in this movie. Once they're dead, they're dead.
So he gets to he backs his way all the way to the stairway, and as he's climbing the stairway, Henrietta appears through the stairs and grabs hold of his leg, and he goes down. Yeah.
But Ash, of course, is immune to such tricks. If this was Jake, he would have been ripped in half and blood would have gone everywhere. But with Ash, Super Ash, he survives this.
Yeah. Oh, we did forget a scene. We forgot the scene with Henrietta in the cellar, and she starts singing. And she's talking about.
Oh, that's right. She's singing earlier on. That was that was with the four of them, wasn't it? That's before she possesses Ed, I think.
That's before she does, yeah.
You're right, because that's important, because that comes up now.
Yeah,
that comes back.
Talks about the snow when she was born and all that sort of stuff.
And the Mockingbird
song. That singing there is not my mother.
Yeah. They always give up really quickly as well, don't they? The demons. They're like, they try and then they're like, oh fuck it. All right,
it's always like they half-heartedly do it, and it's like, oh god, this is just boring.
Yeah.
Just get on with it.
Yeah, just get on with it. So Ash manages to get out of the cellar, and Henrietta escapes up with him, and we get Ash is now Ash, right? Ash is now he's arrived. He is Ash. Ash as we know him.
Full on Ash.
Full on Ash. And we get this amazing fight scene between Ash and the stop motion Henrietta.
Yeah. We should say that Henrietta in her Deadite form is actually played by Ted Remy.
Yes.
Who's brilliant. I love Ted Remy.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think he also plays, doesn't he also play the knight at the end, or one of the knights at the end?
No, Sam Remy's the knight at the end.
Oh, of course it is. Yes, it's Sam, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, he then decapitates Henrietta, and the head then.
You get the long neck and the twisted face comes at him.
Yeah, he's punching it. He starts punching it a few times. And then eventually he cuts it off, and you get that wonderful shot where the neck's just like farting blood everywhere.
What I also love is the way the scene's done. You just get him, like swinging the chainsaw, and a limb goes off.
Yeah,
he swings it the other way, and the other limb goes off. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's
funny.
It's panels of a comic book.
Yeah, it's completely panels of a comic book.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I love that shot of Henrietta's body with the long neck just farting blood.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that shot.
And then is the head on the floor going, hey, I'll swallow your soul, I'll swallow your soul. And he puts his foot on her head and takes out the shotgun and says, swallow this. Blows her to smithereens.
Yeah, and I love the sound of her choking when he puts the shotgun in her mouth. So good. It's brilliant. So good. It's just awesome. So then, of course, the Kandarian demon has decided he has had enough, and the trees start attacking the cabin.
The house.
Yeah. And Annie starts reading.
Yep. She starts doing the incantation.
And she reads the first half, which causes the demon to appear in the flesh.
Yeah.
And we then see the big demon thing
comes through the door.
Now I'm assuming that's what was chasing Ash the whole time, invisible.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is, isn't it? It's the you don't see it until but that's the actual what it's supposed to look like when it's
which,
there.
To be honest, like they never would have been able to do it or have the budget for it. But that bloody thing floating along chasing you would be the most terrifying thing in the goddamn world. The size of it just floating around like that would just be like, oh my god.
The crew apparently called it the rotten apple head.
I can kind of see why.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of people think it's like goofy and like rubbish.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I want like a wall of my house to be that thing. Awesome.
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Maybe the cellar, if I had a cellar.
When they came to sort of like to dismantle the set, because it was filmed in a school hall.
Right.
They built the set in a school hall, and when they came to sort of like dismantle it and stuff, and take it all down, they didn't know what to do with it, and it was too big for them to get rid of, so they just left it there.
Amazing. And
then it completely disappeared for years. And then apparently a few years ago it appeared at a haunted house thing in one Halloween.
Did they know what they had?
I have no idea. My guess is somebody must have. Because somebody had taken it and hidden it away in a garage probably somewhere.
It's so big though. Like they must huge. It must have been a real pain to have like moved, but awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely awesome.
And of course and he's there, sort of, about to recite the second passage.
Yes.
And Ash's severed hand stabs her in the back with the knife.
Yeah. Little bastard.
And so we get, Ash grabbed by a tree hand, and he's trying to be forced into the mouth.
Yeah.
And he's like chainsaws the eye, and all that blue blood comes gushing out of the eye.
Out everywhere. And then Annie manages to say a few more words.
Yeah.
Of the incantation.
She manages to finish off the incantation, and the portal opens, and it starts dragging him in, and you get those really cool sort of like the souls of the other people that he's taken. They all sort of come out of its neck.
Yes.
Sort of I love that. It's really cool. They like pop out and stuff. It's brilliant. It reminds me of that the one in one of the Freddy movies where he's got all the souls on his in his body, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. So of course everything is taken away. All the evil is taken away, and Ash is left in the cabin with a moment of peace. A very brief moment of peace.
Door's shut. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. It's a wonderful, nice, happy ending until the door swings open, and Ash and his car and the trees and everything are sucked into the vortex. I always assumed when I used to watch this,
I'd turn this thing off.
yeah. I always assumed that Ash was dragged in because it was anything that had been kind of possessed or touched by the evil would be dragged in.
I thought that as well, that he'd sort of been slightly tainted by it, so it dragged him as well.
Yeah. And it takes his car for reasons.
It just takes the car.
Although in the first movie, the car is possessed because the car almost kills them on the way to the cabin in the first one. The car drives itself into a truck, nearly.
I just thought it was just a rubbish car.
It might be. It's kind of, it could have gone either way. It was like, the car drove itself, and then Ash is like, I thought I got this car fixed. It should be fine. It's either way.
That's true.
Either way, it works. But in any case, Ash is sucked into the void, or the portal, as it turns out, and we get that wonderful shot of like Star Trek: The Motion Picture graphics going on, and that weird light show. Before another wonderful shot. Oh, the bit with the music.
Yeah.
The classical music when he's just spinning.
Yeah.
I love that shot.
It's like violin playing. And his body's
spinning around. And then we get one of my favourite shots of the film. We see the Oldsmobile falling, and the Oldsmobile smashes into pieces. From the distance it's fallen, it just is obliterated. And then Ash, falling the same distance, is just like, he's fine. He's fine. The car is completely totaled. Yeah, he's like absolutely fine. I love that shot. That's just such good comedy writing. It's just tremendous. So yes, he then stands up, and he's confronted by a group of knights who think he's a Deadite, so they want to kill him because he's a Deadite. Slay the beast. And then a real Deadite appears, which is the one you might want to talk about.
It's the one. I think it's the one effect that really has never held up at all. It's always been ropey as fuck. That the design itself, there's nothing wrong with the design.
Yeah.
It's just it always looks so bad. It's really jarring.
I'm pretty sure.
The other ones which you can kind of laugh off, or they all have their little charm.
Looks awful.
That's the only one that just looks terrible.
I think, to be honest, it mostly. I think the main problem with that is probably that it was in daylight, and I think the darkness probably hid an awful lot of the mistakes with the other ones.
Yeah, that's true.
But couldn't with that. It does look terrible. But it is an awesome shot anyway.
Yeah.
Is Ash stands up and immediately pulls out the shotgun and shoots its head, and this head explodes in midair.
And I like that it sort of like takes a second to drop.
Yeah. Again, it's that comic book panel.
Yeah.
Head explodes and then drop. Wonderful. So he's then hailed as a hero.
Yeah,
and all of the knights are like.
That's when you get the Sam Raimi puts his helmet up and says, "Behold, he who has come from the stars to slay the Deadites,
deliver us from the Deadites," or whatever." And they all surround him, cheering him on as Ash stands screaming, "No,
no, yeah." I do like that as well. We forgot about that the scene where they're going through the missing pages.
I was going to say he is in the pages,
and
isn't he?
There's that picture of somebody sort of stood on by this castle, and he says, "What's that?" And he says, "Oh, it's somebody who apparently was supposed to have fought the evil in the centuries before." And he's like, "He did a really shitty job."
Yeah. And also, it kind of interesting is once you've watched part 3, you realise that Ash obviously goes to sleep with the book. He puts himself to sleep and all of that, which means that Ash was presumably there when they were at the dig, but they just never found him.
I never thought of that.
That's they find the book, but not him. So I'm guessing
because I think in the series, which I've only seen the first season
of, it's a great series. I loved Ash versus the Evil Dead was hilarious.
They completely dismiss the third one, don't they? They don't mention the third one at all.
I think I always assumed with the series that they made out that he just got back to modern day, because there's 2 endings to the third film. Because there is the ending when he gets back to the normal day and he's working in S-Mart again.
Yes.
And
the
so
other
I
ending,
assume
which most people haven't seen the other ending.
I prefer the other one when he sleeps too long.
He takes too many drops. He doesn't. Yeah. He can't. He
hears the noise, doesn't he?
And he drops for each century or something.
Something like that. It's really precise.
Distracted, and then puts another one in. Yeah.
Yeah. And he sleeps too long.
Futurescape.
Yeah, which I love. But no, I think it just assumes that the third one did happen, but he ended up in the modern day and just went back to the mundane life of Ash.
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, they do elaborate on it actually, because in season 2 they or it might be season 1. I think it's season 2. He goes back to his original the town that he came from, and they all think he's a murderer for killing Linda and stuff. But he was never found guilty of it, so the whole town hates him and says, you're a murderer, and and his dad is Lee Majors.
Oh, awesome!
Which is so good. It's so good. But yeah, in any case, I was always a little disappointed personally, just because I'm a stickler for like continuity, or I was when I was a kid, especially that they changed the ending with the opening of 3. They change it.
Yeah.
Because in the opening to the second one, he's taken as a prisoner.
Yeah.
Sorry, the end of the start of the third one, he's taken as a prisoner rather than hailed as the hero.
And isn't Bridget Fonda the girlfriend in the beginning of that one?
Yeah,
when they sort of go back.
Yeah, she may be. I can't remember now.
I'm pretty sure she is.
It's been a while since I've seen the third one. I may watch it tonight now that I've watched the first 2.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
But yeah, so Evil Dead 2, an amazing movie.
I just looked it up. Bridget Fonda was Linda.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, I forgot. Patricia Tallman was the possessed witch.
Yes, yeah.
The third one. Wow, I'd completely forgotten that.
Yeah. That's a great movie. I love Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead 3 are... And when I was saying earlier that, Evil Dead 3 is really not a horror movie at all, that's not a slight on the movie. It's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And it works perfectly well as a sequel to Evil Dead 2. It works perfect. It's like the natural progression from Evil Dead 2. It's like they took everything in Evil Dead 2 and just ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's tremendous. I love it.
Yeah. And I love the fact that with this one, he didn't want to make another horror movie. Remy didn't want to make another one. He'd done I can't remember what, Crime Wave, I think the film was called.
Right.
And it got so much interference and messing around, and it completely bombed when it came out. Yeah. That he basically just wanted to do something else, and they couldn't get funding for it. They couldn't sort of out. And Stephen King, who loved the first movie.
He absolutely adored the first movie, didn't he?
He had lunch with Dino De Laurentiis and persuaded De Laurentiis to basically produce the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
which
awesome.
Completely saved them. It's like fantastic.
It's great.
And of course, he actually couldn't. His company wasn't allowed to release a horror movie. So Remy and his partner made Rosebud Films,
which I love as well. That opening is like, what is this?
It is. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's a lovely little rosebud coming up, and they made that so that they could sort of like send it out themselves.
You almost feel like you've put the wrong movie on when that comes up at the start.
It's like it always makes me think of like a a Lynch movie.
Yeah, this is it's kind of Lynchy.
Weird sort of Lynch feel to it, like the beginning of Blue Velvet.
Yes, yeah.
It's got that sort of like weird, slightly artificial look about it, which looks really weird.
Yeah. But in any case, that was Evil Dead 2, and I can't recommend this one enough. Like every movie we do, I mean, if we're covering it, it's generally going to be either amazing or a complete fucking train wreck. So,
or at least we think it is.
Or at least we think it is. Yeah. I think this one, by most people's standards, I think is a masterpiece.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know anyone that dislikes Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know many people that have watched it and didn't like it.
No. But yeah, Evil Dead 2, amazing.
Fantastic.
So, I guess next week we'll be back to our usual reviews. And try and find something to watch. It's becoming a real issue at the moment.
Well, there's a couple of movies around that we can watch. So I've got a couple of things lined up.
Excellent. I will find something. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will find something. But yes, until then, stay safe and keep the R rate down and all that shite.
Yeah.
Watch movies. That's something you can do.
Stay in and
watch movies. Oh, by the way, I did. I was using again Wikipedia as a guide to remind myself of what happens in the movie, so I didn't miss stuff. And as soon as I looked up Evil Dead 2, state and desperation of cinemas right now, Evil Dead 2, you can watch it in the cinema tonight. It's
really?
at Longwell Green this evening. Yeah. So yeah, it's around.
There you go. If you want to brave the cinemas,
yeah, and then go for it. Go see Evil Dead 2. It's got a few locations. But yeah, in any case, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.